All along this wall over here, they found something like hundreds of skulls.
Hey guys, this is Joe. Thanks for tuning in today. I wanted to share with you something. Recently gave a tour to the city of Lachish, or Lachish as it's known in English, and one of the participants, Jewtronix, was kind enough to tape segments of the tour. In the video we'll be exploring the destruction by King Sennacherib in the year 701 BCE and the final destruction that took place in the year 586 BCE by the Babylonians. It's one of the places where we find the Bible and the archaeological record fitting like a glove. We have the story written down in 3 books of the Bible, in the book of Kings, in the book of Isaiah, and the book of Chronicles. It is also found on the Lachish reliefs, the Lachish reliefs that were found in Sennacherib's palace in Nineveh, as well as spoken about and alluded to on the Sennacherib prison. The tour starts out from the main city gate.
The Assyrians came and they killed the Jewish people that are here. They exiled a number of them, but they killed a great many of them. In fact, all along this wall over here, they found something like hundreds of skulls.
What do they do with all the skulls?
Well, they remember that they weren't necessarily holding by the, what the Chevra Kadisha would do with them. Guys, we're coming right now into the area which was where the market area would be. Why would you have a market area outside the walls per se and not inside the walls? That'd be one way to put it, but I'll tell you why. To think about it for a strategic point of view. So yeah, we want to have trade. We need the trade. We need the business. We need the money. We need the goods. But at the same time, you don't know who's coming, right? You've heard of the story of the Trojan horse, right? You don't want that happening in your city. So, so the reason why you would have a place like this is that you can kind of control it. You had the main city back here behind the wall, and basically they could stand guard, and you had guard towers all around you. So if anybody pulled shtick, it's the last shtick they're gonna pull. So that's it. If you want to see a mock-up of what it would have looked like over here, this is what it'd be. So you see, you come in through here, this whole area is walled off, and then you have an entrance area over here. You see the towers are well fortified. There's shields around the towers, and you had pelters and archers and other things, other people over there, people willing to throw stones at you. So, just wasn't a good place to do shtick. But I want to show you something. So you actually see the paved area. This is the original pavement from the city coming down. And one thing to note over here, you see that there's a trail of stones coming down this way like this. This is sewage, not sewage as in waste, whatever have you, but sewage to drain the water out. Right, when you get water and you have a walled city, you're going to end up getting a lot of water puddling up, and you don't want to have people walking in a puddle like this deep to go into your city. So you have to get water out of here. So they designed a system to take all the water out, and that's what this is right here. You can actually see the sewer system over 2,700 years old. Okay, over here we have a mock-up of some remains by where you're standing. Remind me your name again. David, where David is standing over here, we can see this right here. These are obviously not real, but these are mock-ups of what was found. These are called a straka. A straka means pottery that was written on. And what we have over here is an amazing corroboration of what we find in the Bible. We find in Sefer Yirmiyahu, after Yerushalayim is destroyed, that the cities of Azekah and the cities of Lachish were still standing. And it's a very dramatic letters over here.
One of the major finds at the city of Lachish is the Lachish letters. Especially of importance is the Lachish letter 4, which speaks about both the city of Lachish and Azekah, written by somebody presumably within the Judean army by the name of Hoshiyahu, writing to his superior who was based in Lachish. He was most likely in the city of Moreshah, which was between the city of Lachish and the city of Azekah. Here he attests to what we find written in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 34, verse 7, that says that after Jerusalem was taken, the cities of Lachish and Azekah were still around. And here, this is probably the final letter received by the city of Lachish before the invading Babylonian armies, that the city of Hezekiah had fallen, as he no longer saw the smoke signal from Hezekiah. The text is on the screen.
This is in Katav Ivri. So we have the Hebrew script we have today, Katav Ashuri, and but there was another script that was used, and there's a discussion in the Gemara as to what the Torah was given in. Was it given in Katav Ivri or was it given in Katav Ashuri? Okay, guys, I wanted to show you something over here. Does anybody know what this is right here? This type of brick? Well, this is mud brick. So this would be one of the ways that you would build as well. So there's plenty of stone around here in the land of Israel. But another one of the building materials that was used in order to make things ornate. By the way, also remember that there would have been plaster on the walls, according as per what we saw in the Lachish reliefs. We saw there was plaster, but they also had mud brick. So basically, what you would do is you would take mud and straw. Where do we see this technology being talked about in the Tanakh? What's that? In Egypt, right? We find the Jews were when we're going to come into the Sefer Shmos, and we find that the Jews had to make brick. And they had to make it without straw. So we'll see that the straw is a very important ingredient in order to make these kind of bricks, to give it kind of the feel and the texture. And if you're just making it with water and clay, it could become very crummy. So that's one of the things over here. But this is mud brick. We find this all throughout the land of Israel, very well used. So we have to be very careful as we come in over here, kind of go around. They're rebuilding something. I want to talk about, what's that? These are the city walls, yeah.
2,700 years old.
Oh yeah, even older, some of them. Like I'm saying, they were destroyed 2,700 years ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, gentlemen, so this is the entrance of the city over here, and you had all kinds of little, if you will, like shops and little buildings over here. But one of the main things that were around over here were like kind of like a cultic site, you know, like where they had, like, if you will, like different places to offer offerings and what have you. And in fact, the place behind where these guys are sitting, they found basically a room where you would walk in, and there was like basically like a little altar, if you will, that was set up with 4 horns. 4-horned altar sounds like what? Mizbeach, right? The Mizbeach that we find in the Mishkan and in the Beit HaMikdash. But what's interesting over here, we actually found that this Mizbeach was kind of broken, meaning that the 4 corners were lopped off of it. And when the archaeologists dug a little further back, so basically imagine you have like this room, you'd walk into the room, there would be a wall jutting out, there was the Mizbeach right here, and then there was like an antechamber back here, okay? Now what happened was the archaeologists went and dug, they found a funny, like, block, if you will, with a circle in it. And they determined that that block with the circle in it was actually a toilet. Okay, so yeah, what's going on over here? You have like a cultic site and then you have a toilet, but then if you read in the description, you find that, during the reign of King Hezekiah, right, that there was religious reforms, and basically what happened over here is that they decided to tear down this altar that was made to other gods, if you will, and set up, instead of it, a bathroom at the site where this altar was. Okay, and that was found right over here. They're currently, as you see, they're refurbishing it and building it so that you could be able to see it soon enough when the park opens. But right now, that's what's under development here.
Making this into a park?
No, not graves. This is part of. Guys, remember that we're in the city, and the city has only been partially excavated. There are structures underneath where we're walking. There are structures all around us, and because of that, we need to stay on the path just for safety's sake.
Did they rebuild it?
Well, so remember, this was it came back and they briefly inhabited it until the Babylonians, and then it wasn't inhabited again.
Babylonians destroyed it the second?
Yeah.
They like finished it. They didn't rebuild it as it was before when they came back.
Right, right. They kind of like, again, it was a poorer kingdom at this point after the Assyrians decimated them, and they kind of just set it up as like a defense, what have you.
Didn't make it into what it was.
Yeah.
If they're not graves, what are they?
Well, so if we're talking about no graves, remember that there was a battle site here. People died and were left dead in their buildings, right? This is a battle site.
Didn't King Yehu?
Yeah,
He also like turned it into the temple of Baal into a public toilet.
that's right. So we see that all throughout the scriptures. Also, Yoshiyahu, the king of Yehuda, we find that he did this with an Edomite site further south. And we see several other places where they
made the altar so you could like sit on it or something.
Yeah, so basically it was they put a toilet where the altar was.
Oh, they just drilled a hole in it.
Well, in the back they had like there was an antechamber. They dug a hole back down there, and that was it. Yeah.
So when Hezekiah was going through like and abolishing like Avodah Zarah,
Like
this was like, oh wow.
So I'm saying you see it in the archaeological record.
Yeah.
That's the only place you're gonna find a tractor that's gonna be written like that, huh? It's a Jewish tractor, guys.
So they built the city back up again after it was destroyed?
Yeah, but not to the level that it was previously. It was like a lesser level. All right, if you look over here, we have this cool thing set up by the Parks Authority, and this is basically every king after Solomon from the kings of Yehuda. Each chair, the size of them represents the reigns. The reigns, not the reigns that they hold the horses, but the reigns in which they ruled. So starting from this side and going back to Rehovam. Sidkiyahu, he was the last king, right? Yehoiachim, he was actually exiled to Babylon, right? Him and his family. And everybody's heard of the Reish Galusa? So basically his descendants became the Reish Galusa, and they lasted until the time of the Rishonim. Yeah. So, but another cool thing we want to talk about archaeological corroboration of a story from the Tanakh. So Yehoiachin, we find that he was exiled to Bavel, and it says that he was supported by Nebuchadnezzar. So then when they were digging in the city of Babylon in the 1920s and 30s, they actually found ration tablets that mention his name and his son's names, and you could actually see that they were given ration by Nebuchadnezzar, like it says in the Tanakh. Yeah, so they were actually being fed by him. Okay, and then we have Yoshiyahu was the last great king. Basically 609, this is when the Assyrian Empire falls apart. So basically little under 100 years after the battle that took place over here, the Assyrians are already out of the scene, and the Babylonians are instead on the scene over here.
What's the best king yet?
The best king, it's hard to say. A lot of them were righteous, a lot of them were wicked. Menashe is the most wicked king here.
So why does he get the tallest one?
So why does he have the tallest one? Because he reigned for 56 years. And basically the sizes of the chairs are according to that. But so Menashe actually did tshuva in the end of his life, but because Menashe caused other people to go astray, he has no chelik in Olam Haba, according to the Gemara in Sanhedrin. But Menashe, the one who's in our midst, is named after the righteous Menashe, right? There's all kinds of Gemaras that speak about how could you call after Rishayim and what have you. But like for example, Rabbi Yishmael. How could Rabbi Yishmael be called Rabbi Yishmael? He's named after a Rasha. It says no, Rabbi Yishmael did tshuva before he died, and what have you. So this is why. These are all the kings of Yehuda from after Shlomo. So we start with Rehovam and we go through all this. So every single chair represents a king of Yehuda and their links of their reigns. And then so Amaziah, remember, he was the one that was assassinated here, most likely in this building we're over here. This is where the palace was located. This is the basis of the palace, guys. The palace of Lachish. Remember, Lachish was the second most important city in Yehuda. So Amaziah, after his whole mess up with fighting the kingdom of Israel, he went to Jerusalem and he realized that he had to go back, he had to run away for his life. He ran over here and he hid in this palace right here, and was eventually assassinated by his own people. So Shlomo and David are not on here because Shlomo and David were united Israel. From Rehovam, we have a divided kingdom, Yehuda and Israel, right? Well, that's one of the pillars from the palace, a piece of the pillar. We're walking on what was ground level. This would have been a basement where they were digging over there. Here, this is Gat. Anyway, so this is written in Katav Ivri, and you could play around with it. You have to match it up to the places. They're not necessarily going in the right order of where they were located actually, but you can see why this city was very strategic in that you could see the entire area around us over here. Look behind us over here. Over here you can see the area of Hare Yehuda, and in fact up on top of the hill you can see a built-up area. That's where the city of Hebron is located over here today. Yerushalayim would be over this way. Okay, and we noticed there's a bunch of flat-top mountains along the way. This one right over here is called Morashah, like Morashah Kehilat Yaakov. That's where Beit Guvrin is located. That was built by Rehovam. Okay, this was also built by Rehovam. We passed by Hezekiah earlier, was also built by Rehovam. Okay, and Socho as well. I didn't really show it to you, but we passed by it as well. You could trust me on that one. But you can see today it's a little bit overcast. I was actually just here Friday with my kids, just for fun. And you could see well up to the coastal plain, the areas of Tel Aviv. Over here, it's a little bit hazy, but you could also see the areas. This is Kiryat Gat, where the high-rise buildings are right over here, the modern city of Kiryat Gat. And then we have in the distance over here, if you look, you'll see some smoke towers from the electrical plant of Ashkelon. And just beyond that is the Gaza Strip, meaning that you could see Gaza from here, Ashkelon, Ashdod, yeah. All the areas going up Kiryat Gat, and then over here you could see going to Tel Aviv. You have Hebron over here. You're going way to the south over here. You're going already to where it unfolds to the hills we're going to be going. That's actually our next stop is going to be located over there. And yeah, that's the view from up here. So again, Amaziah was most likely assassinated where we're standing right now. Amaziah was the king of Yehuda.
The siege ramp we see in this picture over here was built by the Assyrians. This was the nail in the coffin for the debate as to whether or not this site was considered Tel Lachish. Once that was found, it was beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was indeed the city. We see very clearly from the Lachish reliefs Sennacherib and his army marching upon the city and using a siege ramp in order to come and to conquer the city with what could be described as one of the first tanks in the history of the world, which was used to bang at the bricks and undermine them and cause them to collapse. Thank you very much to those of you who are watching, and have a wonderful day.